continue letting people in, but yeah. So first of all, a warm welcome from my side. My name is Katharina Kopp, and I'm Assistant of the Board from the European Green Roof Foundation. And today I have the pleasure to organize and moderate this webinar. As many of you already know, the European Green Roof Foundation is hosting almost every month or every second month a webinar regarding a specific topic. And today the topic is From Grey to Green, Innovative Financing Pathways for Green Roof Implementations. As well, I would like to inform you that this webinar is also a cooperation with the EU project GoNaturePositive, but later on my colleague will tell a bit more about that. But first, I would like to announce and welcome our speakers for today's webinar. We have 3 speakers. First, we will listen to Roman Chvilcek from Czech Republic. He's project manager and architect and working for the credit institute ČSOB Bank in Czech Republic and Slovakia. Then Doris Schnepf, the co-founder and managing director of Green for Cities, will go ahead. And then the last presentation will be from Andreas Türk, who is project leader of the EU project Invest for Nature and works at the Joanneum Research Institute in Austria. Okay. So, oops, that was a bit fast. Now I will tell you a few words about the EFB, the European Federation of Green Roofs and Living Walls. It's a non-governmental organization and was founded in 1997. And the EFB is kind of an umbrella organization, connecting all green roofs associations within Europe. And proudly, the EFB can count 17 national associations in 20 member countries. And then the EFB is also active in an extended network, for instance, with VGIN, ELCA, the IFLA, and So Green. And if you would like to find out more about the European Green Roof Foundation, we invite you to check out their website. And you also can find us on YouTube and have a look on the other webinars which have been held in the past. Okay, and then I would like to hand over to Tatiana. As already mentioned, this is a collaborative webinar within the project GoNaturePositive. And yeah, Tatiana will tell us a bit more about it.
Thank you very much, Katharina. My name is Tatiana Konchenko, and I'm very happy to tell you a bit more about the project which helped us as EFB, as one of the partners, to contribute to a nature-positive future of green building sector. So we decided that first, GoNaturePositive is a collaborative initiative supported by European Commission dedicated to accelerating awareness and transformative actions towards a nature-positive economy among policymakers, investors, businesses, and communities. And we are happy to represent one of the pilot sector, a green building sector. And we are in the project for 2 years already, and we are happy to present a lot of research publications in the project. They are all available on the project website. I will share the link to the chat if you are interested to see more about it. And Katharina, can you please show the next slide? First of all, What is nature positive economy? It's an economy when the net result of the economic activities combined leads to an absolute increase in nature, to the point of full recovery and prosperity for all. So project aims to first make a definition of what does it mean and create a ways how we can get there. And we in particular are responsible for construction sector. And now I will share the link for the resources of the project if you are interested to see what's more. But we keep research about the ways how we can actually get there. It will be a big font. So we are now conducting the market survey among businesses, not only construction sector, but here is a link for a construction sector survey. I will also share a link to the chat to the all sector survey. This is a short survey which aims to understand where our businesses are right now and how we can contribute to make them more nature positive and how we can help them to be more nature positive. So we will be very, very interested if you take part in this survey and tell us your opinion. It will take only 15 minutes of your time. And you can do it not only as a constructions business representative, you can also do it as tenant of the house, as financial institution involved in construction or maintenance. If you are involved in the maintenance of the building, we will be very grateful for your opinion. And conducting this survey, you will be able to see the results of the survey. We will share them with you. Make sure that you subscribe for the information from us. Otherwise, we don't have any contact details from you. It's totally anonymous survey. We don't have any data except of generalized and general data after the survey. So if you want to get the results, make sure that you click on the separate form below in the end of the survey so you can subscribe for the updates from us and the survey results. So this information from me. And we will also be conducting interviews with business representatives. So if after filling the survey you are interested to answer more detailed questions to us and tell more about your experience on way to nature positive economy. So we will be grateful if you also tell it to us. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Katharina. Have a nice webinar.
Thank you. Okay, so feel free to take a picture of the QR code and take your time to fill out the survey after the webinar, and I also can show the QR code later, or you take a picture now.
There are also links in the chat if you want to. Maybe it's more comfortable from computer to use the link. We will be very grateful if you can fill it by the end of the week. Then we will have our 100 replies from construction sector, and we will be very grateful for your help.
Nice. Okay, then today's agenda. So we already introduced us, and presentations will be from ČSOB, the bank, the Green for Cities knowledge hub, and then Invest for Nature. And then we have a Q&A session and what's next and upcoming events information. Okay, so Roman, I would like to ask you if you could go ahead and if you can share your screen.
Hello everyone, thank you for introduction. I will start to share. Okay, once again, welcome. My name is Roman Chvilcek, and I'm an architect, and I work as a project manager for the ČSOB group in Czech Republic for already more than 15 years. I'm part of the team that is responsible for the development of our own headquarters building. My presentation will be about the vision with which we approach the development of our own building. Although ČSOB is a financial and insurance group, this presentation will not be about our business activities and products of the group. From my position, I'm able to present the process of our own development, which starts with defining the assignment, then includes the process of selecting building concepts, architects, designing, construction, and moving people in the end. This basically ends the development process, and we hand over the building to our colleague from the facility management, who will continue to operate it. But still we are in touch, and the process I mentioned for each building is around 6 to 8 years. Right now we have 3 buildings, 2 of them in Prague, which together creates a campus of ČSOB, and 1 building in Hradec Králové, which is regional central. And our vision, all buildings are based on the same principles of assignment. While the vision of our first building was created in 2002, it's almost 25 years back. And the context of decision-making of the new building, at that time, the bank had several buildings in the center of Prague, and the goal was not only to move employees and create spaces that would serve its users well, but it was also a tool that helped transform the entire company. 3 key appointments were reflected in the decision on the new building. And the first was responsibility to employees. Basically provide a building that would provide a quality environment or working environment. Second, responsibility for the company. That means to create flexible buildings capable of constantly changing its layout and
Aufs Letzte jetzt, ich werde mal das Lager voll machen, aber das ist klar.
Excuse me, can you unmute, please? Thank you.
Okay. I hope it was not for me, I guess. And the last but not least, NHQ, the first building, was a tool to support the changes in the company, to create an environment for the progressive approach to work with or to help work together with teams and information sharing. And once again, that was 2002. Yeah, and I think for the time when the time passed on, we found that a lot of our decision was really in good direction. And the process, our process of development is divided to 3 equal in time stages, and that overlap each other, but basically preparation, design, and construction, each phases last approximately 2 years. And the key phase, I would say, is preparation. I would say that in typical development, this phase is really, or very often very reduced. However, the question asked in the beginning is absolutely crucial for the answer you get. And we look at the buildings and their surroundings primarily as a long-term users and residents of the locality over a period of decades. We involved a team of experts in all areas in the process from the very beginning, and the preparation phase is, I think, really long part and crucial part, as I already said. And I will present our buildings through main project objectives, which are set in the beginning. And so three key aspects of the
Ja,
assignment.
ich tue unten für aussen noch schnell ein bisschen fertig arbeiten.
Excuse
Muss
me,
da noch
can
ein
you
bisschen
mute,
mit zu.
please?
Thank you. And the first are oriented towards the place and the message of about the locality. As I've already said, when defining the first building, the bank was located in several buildings in the city center, on the center of Prague. Based on multi-round process in selection, the concepts, the wider center of Prague, Radlice, it's the location was chosen. It was a green valley with a distinctive morphology and with a great or excellent public transport accessibility, with a metro station in the middle, surrounded with greenery all around. It was a brownfield site, undeveloped for now, with a huge potential for future development. At the same time, we saw it's a great opportunity to start this development and positively influence it to create our our neighborhood. The new headquarters building, it's the shortcut NHQ, was located in the bottom of the valley, and the building was low rise and horizontal. And at the same time as we finished this building, after the completion or together, we create a vision of the development of whole area. And as I said, it took us 10 or 15, right now 25 years to continue in it. And in 2004, the needs across we found the needs to build a second building which followed all the previous principles. And in 2021, we finished a second building as HQ. Its architecture concept is based on the character of a green slope. The building is integrated into the greenery, and both buildings are connected together and work together as a ČSOB campus. With a total capacity around 4,500 people inside, or the building is corresponding in size to a smaller city. And the second main project objectives is focused on environmental sustainability, and it's present in technical and technological concept of the building. Already in the case of the first building, the principles of an operational efficiency and environmentally friendly building were generally described in the assignment. And during the process, we were searching if we can somehow prove our principles set in the beginning, and we found LEED certification. And when the building received LEED Gold Medal in 2007, it was the first administrative building in Central Europe. And also the principles of the assignment were practically identical. The 12-year difference between the buildings brought the generation difference to the technological part. Here we have already specifically obtained the highest LEED certification in platinum in new construction category. And for example, the building is completely heated and cooled using ground boreholes. There are 171 of them in total, and each 150 meters long under the building. And we are using heat pumps, and we use active concrete and a radiant heat-cooled component for or transfer of energy that building is also, or both buildings are also connected together, and we can transfer energy from one building to another one and use the heating pumps to heat or cool both of them. And the ventilation, light, acoustic, and etc. would be also a separate topic. I would just go through. However, the greenery actually is the essential part of the building, and we are using green roofs practically on more or less whole area of the roofs. And in the first building, it was around 50% covered by green roofs, and the second building has already 90% of green roofs. And I would move on a third aspect, which is user orientation. The personal workspace is entire building. Buildings are designed from the beginning for a specific user, a community, one company. And as a part of the internal zoning, there are like natural hierarchy of the space. As I said, is the size of the small town, so you need to work with zoning of the spaces, and from the like more public parts through semi-public, semi-private to private zones inside the building to create together whole workplace. And social aspects, flexibility and mobility is also like really big part of the flexibility of the buildings. However, if I stay on the topic of green roofs, in addition of influencing the expression and the message of the building and their integration to the locality, it's primarily an extension of the working environment. Roofs are very used from spring to autumn. In addition to the fact that you can buy ice cream there or have a grilled food and stretch there during the summer, it serves a meeting places from individual meetings to like individual focused work if you will need. And in case of both roofs, the green design follows the local flora, working with 3 groups of green, like grass and then the middle part, and then trees as well. And like thickness of the substrate, it's up to 1.5 meters. Here you can see the roofs from the, I think it's like last summer actually. Okay, I will just briefly mention our third building in Hradec Králové. It's regional headquarters with capacity of 1,000 workplaces inside. The building was completed in 2021 near the river, and more related to the urban structure. Again, an initiator of the development of the area in the beginning. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos from here from last season, but the green roofs are not yet as extensive as you could see before in Prague, which is an addition to the age of the building. It's the youngest building, also due to technical problems during the construction. And this brings me straight to the topic of problems associated with the green roofs. In general, we are convinced that the positive experiences significantly exceed the negative ones, or to be honest, there are, I think, mainly only positives. And I think both from the perspective of users and from the perception of like roofs as a part of the working environment, and from the technical aspects, the impact on the microclimate, the water retention, elimination of heat islands, and etc. And of course, the roofs require certain maintenance and care requirements, but it is always a key that 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 what's to compare to, and also we have significant areas of green roofs on the buildings. I dare say that all the problems corresponding to the scale and complexity of the buildings. I do not record any problems directly related to the greenery on the roofs. And for example, we solved some problems with leaks, which were caused by the waterproof layer, and it was not connected with the greenery. Actually, it would be the same if there would be gravel roofs or in a different type of roofs. And yeah, of course, if problems are discovered later, their elimination is more difficult. There is a part of the roof from last year that was completely uncovered after more than 15 years. This is the part of the roof during the reconstruction of the technologies here. We found a problem with the waterproof layer. But we discovered it was since the construction itself, actually. However, there was no places when they are covered at all. We haven't found any places where the insulation was damaged by roofs of the greenery or damaged by the greenery itself. And in principle, our experience with green roofs after 20 years is very positive. We are further developing the whole area of Radlice Valley. And here is our actual project that we are building a new metro entrance to the metro station, which is here. The metro goes through the building actually, and the underground is divided by two parts. And this project is the building forms a terrain like cuts, and however the surrounding greenery smoothly pass through the roofs as well. And in conclusion, I would just briefly summarize that the key point as a long-term vision is essential, since we manage the entire process from the beginning of the preparation. We are able to find a solution that are profitable and cost-saving in the long term. And I think this is the main point of our approach and vision, is the really long continuity in the vision. Okay, and thank you for your attention. It was a brief introduction, and yeah, let's go next. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman, for that really nice presentations and that nice pictures from the headquarters. So yeah, thank you for sharing the vision and the perspectives from our financing institution itself, how to implement green roofs. And we have 2 questions in the chat booth. They maybe we can already answer them by now. So the first question is, did you work with product manufacturers in the design phase? If so, would you have any recommendations?
Yes, basically we work since the beginning with everyone includes, it means as well the manufacturers, but we are, well, we are careful. We are more try to cooperate with the independent experts, because to be honest, all manufacturers are usually like present their products, and we always try to find some the best solution in general. But yes, sometimes we need a manufacturer had it inside. But if this happened, we always invite more of them, and we wanted to never be dependent on one product.
Okay. And then there's the second question. You mentioned that the site was a brown field. How complicated was remediation and how long did it take?
It was not complicated because the brownfield was really old. There was already greenery when we came. Actually, the factories was there like 50 years ago, and that was, well, the part was the historical village, and close to our side was a factory for motors to aircrafts. And during the Second War, there was the bomb attack actually, and it cleaned everything, to be honest.
Okay.
And the second factory was for bricks, and as well it was quite clear or clean part of industry.
Yeah. And another question, did you use an oak tree on the roof?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have it there.
Nice. Okay. So if there are no more questions, then I would hand over to Doris. But first, I would like to mention again, because I saw that a couple of new participants joined in, that we are recording the webinar. So we kindly ask you to mute yourself, and you can leave the camera on, but be aware that if you have it on, then it might be also you might be seen on the YouTube. And then I would also like to inform you that we will have the presentations of each speaker, and then there will be a Q&A session right after the presentation. So yeah, if you have a question, then you already can write it immediately in the chat, and we will try to answer it later. And now before Doris starts, I would like to just answer the last question for Roman. The issue is that the manufacturers do not understand your needs. They can't review the product portfolio. Okay, that's just an answer. And then it was a question about what was the highest age of, or probably the highest height of the oak tree.
Well, the highest, I'm not sure. I wanted to actually measure it because I have a feeling that gardeners are paid by cutting. So from time to time, they just cut it, and I think it's pity. So I wanted to measure it actually to know it exactly. Right now, they are cut some parts of the trees, but still I think it's more than 10 meters, or
Okay.
some of them maybe 15. Yeah, for the answer, I agree. It depends on external experts, and I really know that it's a problem with experts. It's really hard to find some who really know all available solutions. So agreed. And it depends if they understand our needs. If there is no product which fits our needs, we cooperate together, and there are some parts, and we develop the solution together with manufacturers. And yeah, if there is no another not good products, we try to find the solution, and we involve the manufacturers. And sometimes because the amounts of our building is quite huge, so sometimes it depends to develop the solution exactly for us.
Okay, thank you. Then, when there are no questions so far, I would like to say thank you, Roman. It was a great presentation. In the end, there will be also a Q&A session. So if we couldn't answer a question now, then later there will be also an option to ask questions. And then I would like to hand over to Doris with your presentation. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. I will today talk a little bit about, let's say, a new concept on how to finance not a specific green wall or a specific roof, not a specific building, but an entire city district. Because in that concept, we believe that there could be much more climate fit finance possibilities if we focus not only on one specific property or one specific value, but on the on the best optimal impact of a whole district. Then you can find a lot of more business models or financing options. But doing so needs some kind of new innovations, of new thinking, specifically financing innovation and organizational innovations. So I'm not going very deep because I have just 15 minutes or so for this talk, but we can talk afterwards or anyway in the Q&A session. So my talk is called Impact Pays Off, and it is part of a live project that we are realizing.
Doris, I think you're muted.
Sorry, just a problem with the PowerPoint. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So the project I'm talking about is part of a live project. It's a 4 years project, and we're going to realize 2 demonstrations, one in Melk, which is a small town with just 5,000 inhabitants, like 1 hour from Vienna, and in a district of Berlin, in Charlottenburg. Because we believe that all the cities, the small ones and the big ones, and all in between, do have similar problems, which means there is climate change taking place, and we do need to adapt our cities to climate change. And the expert knowledge is in place. That's what all of us probably all the time are saying. There is a lot of knowledge on how to solve the problems, but it's just not taking place, or not in that efficient way that it should be taking place. And one reason is that there are a lot of individual actors with a lot of individual knowledge and expertise, and a huge amount of property owners with very different interests and different financing options. And we have public place and private place, and to bring all these different interests, user patterns, and financing options together is just in order to really transform a whole city quarter. So to really bring the most optimal impact on its place, it's almost impossible. So we can do some small projects, or could also be big projects, as we have heard before, but it's just one project and one actor, and we cannot count that a whole city quarter will work together in a harmonic way to really bring out the best optimum for the most of us. And in our opinion, the problem is, that's what I said, financing, organizational and co-creational aspects in the end. And how could we overcome this kind of really problem that we have in Melk and small cities, and also in Berlin, in the big ones? Our starting point is the idea of the social impact bonds. Maybe some of you know that. It's a financing instrument that is already established in the social sector. It comes from England, I think, originally. So the idea is that if there is a certain problem, and private and public and the whole society wants a certain impact to solve the problems, then someone could be interested to make an upfront investment, and if the impact is taking place, then the money is paid back. For example, in the social sector, that might be known is if you have long-term unemployed people, then probably the public hand will not be the best actor to solve that problem, but maybe a private company, an NGO or something. And if they are able to bring a contracted impact, for example, to bring 10 people from long-term unemployment into the employment market, then the public hand, for example, would pay a certain amount that is contractually agreed before, and someone, for example, a bank or philanthropics or whoever, pays a so-called upfront investment. It's somehow secure because you have a contract between a private, a public sector between the public hand and the private sector and an upfront investor. This is the general method. And why couldn't we do that kind of idea? We agree on a certain impact that we want to reach. For example, we agree we have a lot of hundreds of different measures to make. We have a lot of different buildings and areas with different usage patterns, but probably we could agree on certain impacts. For example, 15 degrees less felt temperature or better rainwater management, etc. And if we really want to make a better rainwater management, for example, or more green, then we cannot only have one area of the public place of one roof of one actor in the building. Then we really have to count the whole district. And the idea is, if we do so, we will find some synergy strategies, some piggyback strategies, some costs that have not to be paid, and some business models that are only coming to place because of focusing on the whole area. I will go to that deeper, but I just want to show you first our demonstration area in Melk. In Melk, they have the inner city. I mean, it's a very small town, so you can go by feet almost to everywhere. For example, from the inner city, which many inner cities do have some problems of dying out, how we say in Germany, and like a shopping center 15 or 20 minutes away. And the idea was to make like a boulevard between that inner city and the shopping center in order to really get a new vivid area, so and that the inner city can also benefit from the shopping center, etc. Now we have this on this boulevard, there is a really not nice place. It's a parking area and just a street, and a supermarket is on that area, and this should be rebuilt. The whole quarter should be rebuilt with new buildings also, with offices and living functions, and the parking place shall become like a garden, a city garden between this shopping center and the inner city, and be very attractive for all the people, also for the tourists that come to Melk. So that's the idea, and we can measure that, we can quantify that. For example, with the felt temperature, we have developed an indicator matrix that can be varied between, for example, Melk and Berlin. They have very different necessities. And if you agree on the measurable impact that you will reach, for example, so the temperature or runoff coefficients, etc., CO2 reduction, or time of stay, for example, is a very important measurable point for some of the local people. Then we can not only talk about a feeling what we want to reach, but we can really have measurable KPIs for the whole district. That's the basis. Then if we really know what we want to reach for the different areas that is owned by different actors, private actors, and the public hand, so the street, the parking place is owned by the public hand, and some areas beside of the parking place are owned by investors or building developers. And so how to bring those people together? We agreed on a different vision, what we want to reach for that quarter, for that inner city quarter, and what we now need, because they do not have any kind of money. It's a very small city with huge economic problems, as many small municipalities, at least in Austria, and I think in other countries too. So the problem is a financing problem, because it's, for such a small city, a huge project, but also an implementation and organizational problem. And we want to solve that by starting, well, our solution is by bringing in the so-called impact bond, but we do not call it impact bond. We call it in German the ökosoziale Stadterneuerungsanleihe or the eco-social urban transformation bond, because you can better feel what it could mean, an eco-social urban transformation bond that is based on to perform the impact, we finance the impact that we agreed upon together in the co-creative phase 0. That's what we heard before also. The first phase, the planning phase before the design phase, is the most important one, to really co-create with the key actors to really find the measures we need in order to get those impacts we can promise with our expert knowledge. And if we do so, then we can make a first cost estimation. And with that cost estimation, we can then go create a so-called blended finance model. That it means that we take together all kinds of financing possibilities that we have, fundings, the money of the public hand, how much the public hand wants to pay, and different possibilities of impact-based financing, specifically the impact bonds. The impact bonds do secure that with that amount of money, this impact should be really take place, because this is evaluated by external experts, for example, by Deloitte or such kind of organizations that normally also do accountancy systems. They could also do the impact systems, so to say. And this is all organized, the co-creation, the phase 0, the contracts with the financing institutions and the evaluators by SPV, by a special purpose vehicle, a legal institution that is owned by the public and by privates, but shall be existing only as long as this transformation is taking place 20 years, for example, or so. So it gets away complexity from the shoulders of the single actors, and it makes the whole, and it has, so to say, it can see the and organize and co-create the synergies and piggyback strategies of the whole district. Again. Sorry. Okay. This is maybe too complicated at the moment, but it shows that we have different sources of input of money, so to say. We have the phase 0. The phase 0 needs to be financed, or many cities do have already a certain amount of this phase 0. They do have strategies or climate adaptation strategies or something. But this phase 0 needs to be done by the city itself or by the community itself. And then we can go into this cost estimation, master planning, etc., building building or co-creating the blended finance model, co-creating this legal SPV, this legal entity. This legal entity then executes or gives, so to say, the contractors, so that the measures can be implemented, and it also goes to the independent audit companies, for example Deloitte, so that the impact really can be evaluated. If the impacts are evaluated correctly, then the payments, I mean, if the public hand pays, it is the same as always. I mean, if the public hand says, I want to make a climate forest, from a parking place to a climate forest, then it just has to pay that. The same with fundings, but the very special issue or the innovative issue is here the impact bond, because for example, if we look at here, we can see a first planning ideas on the public space only. So it was first just a street and a parking place. And if we really want to redevelop the whole city quarter, for example, now there we have just a supermarket, for example, no construction or construction with just one level, and the owners want to make the possibility to realize the possibility that they can build, like, so say, a 4-level construction building. Then they have to agree with the public hand, for example, a so-called urban development agreement. I'm not sure if this exists in all countries, but so the municipality has the right to say, if you are allowed to pay to construct such kind of properties, because it is much more value than if you have if you just have a parking place or a supermarket on that area, then you have to pay, for example, 50 euros per square meter for realizing the climate forest for all. The costs, so this is about 300, it would be 500,000 euro, but we have calculated just with 300 because maybe not all of the property owners will realize that option to really build and construct this kind of buildings on the areas. This is one, let's say, business model, which is a fixed one, and we have some kind of energy business models that pay back to the upfront investors, but only if the impact that we agreed in the phase 0 is really taking place, certified taking place by an auditor. Energy models, for example, PV, you also can say that you rent in this urban development contracts that you want the property owners to provide the roofs for the municipality that could rent the PVs for PV green roofs, for example, and sell the energies or geothermy or other kind of energy business models that are organized by the SPV, by this legal institution, city transformer, city quarter transformer, or Kretzel transformer, as we say in Vienna. And we are really doing that and realizing that now in Melk and in Charlottenburg. We started with that just like 1 year ago, together with EFB as part of that project. And we really try to make a standardizable process that fits to small cities and bigger cities, so that it's not just, we need all the expertise, all the specific expertise. And buildings have a very important role, for example, in urban inner cities. But with just a building, you, in my opinion, you will not get a really cross-siloed overall strategy, specifically if it's voluntarily. So I think if we talk about to transform our cities in a fast and efficient way, we really need to have that kind of cross-siloed city-wide concepts. And I think if we really can agree on impacts and if we find a way on how to organize it, that could work because the expertise is there. Yes, thank you. And we, as I said, we just want to standardize that kind of concept. If we demonstrate that it's correct or that it's working, then we want to demonstrate it in other cities too. We have already some interested other cities because many of them, not just currently, but specifically currently, do have financing problems. On the other hand, climate change is taking place, so we do have urgent problems that needs to be solved, and we need financing and organizational options, and that's a trial, an idea how it might work. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Doris, for your nice presentation and giving us an introduction to impact-based financing, and also, yeah, mentioning the project Impact Go. Yeah, so there was a question in the chat regarding VTAM and asphalt roofing material, regarding the rainwater with PHAs and heavy metals. Did you already had a look on the questions?
Sorry, no.
If you want, we also can have them later on in the final Q&A session. Maybe that would be good because regarding the time. So yeah, then Doris, thank you for that
Thank you.
nice presentation. And I would like to hand over to Andreas, presenting the EU project Invest for Nature, and yeah, which is demonstrating the economic value of nature-based solutions to attract public and as well the private investment.
Yeah, we are Türk, Joanneum Research, Graz Institute for Energy, Climate and Society. I will speak a little bit about our research we carried out the last 3 years on market and business perspectives for MBS. The project started in July 2022, and it will end most likely in September if our amendment gets passed. The official date is still June. We have 50 partners from 11 countries, and we have 5 living labs with MBS cases in Austria, Norway, Portugal, Denmark, and Poland. In Austria, we have in Tyrol a case of river renaturation and making a wood climate fit. In Norway, in Portugal, we have 2 cases of ocean renaturation. And in Denmark and Poland, we have urban greening, creating green spaces in cities. So we have a variety of cases we could learn from. We carried out 3 waves of surveys. We wanted to understand the market, the actors, the current financing models, and obviously most financing comes from the public sector, payments for ecosystem services, others incentives, credits, grants, other public funding, a little bit of green bonds, crowdfunding and loans, but public money is dominating, and we have to change this. We carried out a report on demand and supply for nature-based solutions, because we wanted to understand which sectors will supply MBS in the future, because the private sector always tells us the projects are too small and not scalable, but also which sectors may need MBS in the future. And this is one of our results. It's based on literature, but also based on many interviews. And we see on the supply sector, mainly local entities, demand sides, multiple governance levels, but on both sides public. Then we have specialized nature-based enterprises that implement nature-based solutions. We have a notable demand from residents in urban hazard-prone areas. What is quite interesting, the demand sectors like utilities or agriculture and forestry, but also real estate. The demand is currently very small because so far there's a lack of money, a lack of business models that can be implemented, a lack of financing. And the supply sectors, I mentioned public, but also agriculture, forestry, utilities, and citizens. Why is the uptake of MBS so difficult? Of course, there are knowledge, skills, and gaps among virtually all actors, policymakers, financing institutes, implementers. There's still a quite low interest in MBS, and we need extensive awareness-raising campaigns, but also institutional inertia and silos. MBS can and should be a cross-sectoral exercise, and as Doris mentioned earlier, we need to combine MBS with many other sustainability activities, also in the energy sector, to have a portfolio of revenues that together make it economically viable. And this is far from being realized in practice. Regulatory gaps, of course, embedding MBS within legal and urban planning frameworks, financial constraints, especially for long-term maintenance, long-term funding and financial mechanisms, lack of political will. But I would like to give you one example, an anecdote from my city. Graz, we have a communist green government, and the Green Party is implementing a lot of MBS projects, very tiny ones, but only in some parts of the city, because the roads that come from outside into the city are not under the responsibility of the city of Graz. So we have a fragmentation of responsibility even within the city. High risk profiles, of course, investors are scared, data deficiencies, revenue uncertainty, high transaction costs. But we also see high potential sectors. I mentioned earlier, agriculture, urban, sustainability alliance, capital, green sustainability bonds. And all these insights come from interviews we made with large banks and financial institutions, but also with small startups, small green bonds. And investors really completely struggle because compared to energy projects that can be very similar, adaptation projects and MBS can be very location specific. And to make them happen, you need to know a lot about the local contextual factors, the local conditions. And this, of course, leads to a higher risk. We saw it in our project Invest for Nature, how difficult it is to get important local data. Of course, revenue uncertainty is important, transaction costs. And larger financial institutions, they know what to do since decades, and now we come with new business models and tell them to implement them. And this is a bit unrealistic. The large and established financial institutions, we have to take them where they are now, and we have to help them to broaden their portfolio. Is the reason many of them mentioned bonds, because they're used to this type of instruments. So we have to be very close to what these institutions are doing now, and in very small steps help them to expand. Also, what we see that there's a lack of interaction between the scientific community, local planners, and financial institutions. And there's more cooperation between the scientific community, local planners, but the financial institutions are mostly disconnected from this kind of projects. For example, in Invest to Nature, we have several municipalities as partners, and this is a quite common pattern. But having financial institutions as partners is really the exception. Are there any recommendations we could make? Yes, MBS should be integrated, should be considered in urban planning and zoning. For example, in Poland, regulations mandate biologically active playground areas, catalyze market interest among real estate developers. A good example could be replicated in other countries. On a local level, there needs to be a cooperation with private investors, because private investors should also need to be included or consulted when designing spatial planning, because they have to finally have to invest something that generates revenues. Develop sovereign green bonds where feasible. On a national level, clear national biodiversity, MBS targets, the nature reservation plans are important in this context, but also integrate MBS into national climate strategies, synergies, biodiversity, impact compensation. And what is also very important, we have to find ways to mainstream MBS into the economy, into value chains. For example, north of Graz, there's a lot of wood here around, and there's a lot of wood processing industry. But we know that climate change will lead to a change of the composition of the trees, and we have to make this value chain future-proof and get also industry on board, and raise awareness and interest among industry that climate is changing, biodiversity is changing, and they need to contribute to adaptation and possibly nature-based solutions. On the European Union level, develop standardized monitoring and evaluation methodologies. Also here, on EU level, data deficiencies should be mitigated, transaction costs. Create biodiversity compensation offset mechanisms. This is planned in the nature reservation regulation, but so far nobody has any clear idea how a market with nature credits could look like. Integrate nature-based solutions in sustainable finance policy landscape. So in as much as possible, financing streams and landscapes. Harmonize MBS criteria, metrics, data points across taxonomy, ČSOB, and so on. But on all levels, mainly on the European but national level, create regulatory clarity to reduce investor uncertainty. Scope reduction in ČSOB puts burden on banks to obtain necessary information for business. So I think there's a lot to do regarding the regulatory and policy framework to make it happen. It starts with risks. It starts with spatial planning, standardization, data availability. So there's really a lot to do still. Yeah, alleviate the public sector bottleneck. It's a bit obvious. What is also very important is that we need to consider the maintenance costs of nature-based solutions, because some European cities told us it's so much cheaper to maintain a road than a green space. Streamline MBS into policies to strengthen demands. Yeah, I mentioned already CSRD, but a very important policy coherence on all governance levels. So a city policy shouldn't contradict with a provincial policy or national policy, and in some countries it's not aligned. Build local supply side capacity and stakeholder engagement. Establish national competency hubs for MBS. So these are all recommendations based on Invest for Nature. Yeah, this was my presentation. On the slide, you see Lydia, who should have presented today, but she's still on Easter holiday. I'm happy for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas, for that, giving us an introduction regarding the Invest for Nature project, a great project, and also, yeah, nice achievements you already did within the project. I see someone sent in a recommendation in the chat booth.
Then have a look
in
the chat booths.
And then there is other question.
Yeah, I see. Also, it's managed. Okay.
Yeah, a study on.
I will copy this because it's really important. Yeah.
And then there's a comment saying in Oslo it is mandatory to follow a blue-green standard for new buildings. It is a good way to make our city more green and blue. Do other cities have the same system? I think we got systems from Munich, then Gothenburg before we made our own systems. Okay. And
I can only say many thanks to Christoph for his first hint to the survey, and many thanks to Ben Christen, who will, yeah, it's a good hint. Didn't know this. Any other comments, questions?
No one seems like. If not, then I take over the sharing again. So, Andreas, first of all, thank you. It was a really great talk. And to our participants, if you have more questions, also regarding the previous presentations from Doris, Roman, then you also have the opportunity to send them in the chat now.
Or you can email us anytime.
Yeah. And now it's time for the, yeah, I see that, yeah, Q&A session. We have, one raised hand. Christoph, would you like to talk?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. Christoph Sykes, I head the European Association for Construction Product Manufacturers. And Andreas, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. You've probably seen since December and the two publications by the Commission, Housing Construction and Affordable Housing.
Yeah.
A lot of money is being talked about by the European Investment Bank and other things for housing, for cities, but not for urban settings, or, you know, so how do you see this going forward if we are to integrate the urban setting, or, you know, the bigger level than just the home or the building element? Any thoughts? Thank you.
I think that district solutions are a trend. district solutions come actually from the energy sector to create plus energy districts or energy communities. And I think MBS could be embedded in this trend that we at least see in Austria.
Thank you. Just a parallel question. Districts is, shall I be diplomatically and say East European concept that in Western, Southern Europe doesn't quite exist? So how would we, implement this across the EU? Because the EU is just, it's got one solution for all, even though that's not quite the same when it comes to cities and construction.
No, and for this reason, I think this is a national task. I don't think we can solve this on European level because the countries are far too different, and the building stock and the urban structures.
Did that answer your question?
Maybe not fully, but it's just my take.
That's very clear, very clear. Thank you, Andreas.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then now we can also come back to the question, Christoph Siekers, you had earlier to Doris regarding the bitumen and asphalt roofing.
Loads of questions, but I don't want to
yes,
too much. Yeah, so I represent construction product manufacturers, and every time this roof thing comes up, I get asked different questions. So Commission wants energy efficient building, so they want solar panels. For solar panels, you need pitched roofs, but you can have them on flat roofs. Another part of the Commission wants white roofs because of
yes.
sort of solar energy reflection, and other parts wants green roof. And of course, we are trying to develop solutions for all. It will be for the investor, the local industry, whatever, to pick pick the objectives and pick the products that go with it. The question was, everything's got a plus and a minus. And Doris, in your presentation, you mentioned briefly a water collection. And of course, it's a crucial element as part of sustainable cities, but certain products don't work with that.
Yes.
So,
but
that was a long introduction to my question. Thank you, Doris.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do not only have roofs for for example, we are transforming a parking place into a city forest. So we have 100% contrary coefficient of water restoration, and that means that we do not yet calculate the roofs because we do not even have the building construction detailed plans yet. I think it's not one question to all or one solution to all. If you have this district view, you have always very specific parameters, and I think that's the point of the phase one. The most important thing, the phase one, to really bring in all the expertise that are existing, all the product knowledge that is existing, etc., the planning knowledge, and then you have to create this master plan and make the impacts that are possible. If the existing products that are used now are a problem, then maybe it will not be a KPI that is going to be the reason for a payback, So I think it is not so easy one solution not for one product, not for one solution, but the district view and this phase one, this co-creative phase one, which is very complex, and so it could not be much bigger than a district, I think. Because then it's too complex to handle. Needs to involve all that kind of expertise you have and all you have here in that forum to integrate and then come to a master plan, which is always a compromise, I think.
Very clear, thank you. That's two of you talking about districts. I think you need to push this up to the Commission.
Yes, that's what we try. Yeah.
My office building is a tower, and it's in the smart city district in Graz. And when the smart city district was planned 10 years ago, it was planned as a mixture of innovative energy projects and nature-based solutions. But the buildings were sold several times, and the nature-based solutions were the first things new investors skipped. So now I'm in a complete gray district, and I just wonder, how can we have some enforcement? Maybe it's a question also to you, Doris.
Yeah, I think we try it because if we, for example, if we promise to the developers, to the property owners that wants to build these 4-level constructions, we promise them, I mean, with one sign, their property has a much higher value at all. But if we are planning this green building in front, this climate forest in front of their constructions, it's much more worse, still much more worse. So we promise in a contract, if you give us 50 euro per square meter, then we give you that kind of greenery. So we really try to make, this is a kind of, you know, co-creative process of this phase zero. It's not, I think, I don't know, all of them will skip first the green things, the green walls and green roof, if they don't have to. If we are not, and they have to, if we have this, because you will not get better temperature without green.
Yeah.
And if we promise that in a contract, and this is part of the life quality, making it in a really to be proven concept, to be contractually needs to be successful, then it will work. Then everybody is interested because you have an upfront investor that wants to get back his money and so on and so on. If we make it as one of our own, not one building, but the district is our own, then it should work, and it's a new kind of thinking. It's not so complicated, but it's not absolutely not anchored in our institutions or ways of thinking, I think.
Answered my question.
Nice. Then I would like to read the question. In the building of physics at the Humboldt University, they had to add drinking water to keep the green walls happy, since the collected water was a bit polluted. I think herbicides was put in the material. Is this a common problem? Doris?
Sorry, I was distracted because I had the sorry. What was the question?
The question is if herbicides are a common
Since the collected
problem.
water was a bit polluted, I think herbicide was.
I can go say it again. Yeah, it's. I visited Berlin many years ago, and the building of physics.
Yes.
A 4-story building, I think, with a lot of glass, and so it's a greenhouse in a way. So to make shade, they had the green walls of the green facades, quite nice. And they used collected water, rainwater, to irrigate. But in the end, they found out that the water was a little polluted. So the greenery didn't perform as well as they hoped for. So they had to, I don't know if they diluted the water, the rainwater with drinking water to keep, to irrigate the wall. So I just wonder, is it, and I heard that they use herbicide inside the bricks and so on to keep the green from mosses and stuff, to keep the roof black in a way. Do you know if that's common? I never heard. I live in Norway. I never heard about it before.
Yes, I think I'm not so used to that. We never used it, so to say. So it's the first time we use it, like in this general way. Some examples that I know is that yes, they used like that kind of problem solution, or just did not, mixed it with drinking water or so, or just skipped just used only drinking water at the end. I know it's not very common because normally we really do have, it is a problem because we do not have enough water, drinking water in many cities, and we do need to have rainwater harvesting or grey water usage, and it's always a problem. Also the grey water usage.
I think it's a very tragic thing because use the rainwater for something else than just to leave it. Is it possible to purify it in some way before?
Yes, but it's not so common. I mean, you have to make that solution on that building, and maybe the facility management does not know, and so on and so on. And normally, it's so. These are the complicated maintenance issues in the end that very often do not work, in my experience. And at the end, or they use just drinking water, or I don't know what's the experience of others. And I mean.
Maybe some of the others in the audience know?
Does someone have a direct answer to that?
First, I think it's a real pity because I thought the rainwater was the best way to cool buildings. Instead of using energy, you have green walls and green roofs. If you can harvest the water and use it for irrigation, it's like the sweat on the human body. You really cool the building. They say in the building of physics, they say they can cool the building without any air condition up to 30 degrees Celsius in the shade. So if it's up to 30 degrees Celsius shade, then you can have a nice temperature inside the building without using air conditioning. And that is a really good thing.
I see Christoph Sykes also has his hand lifted up. Would you like to have a direct comment on that?
Thank you, Katharina. It's Sykes. It's a very English name. No worries. I just wanted to comment on the question about pesticides. Was it bricks or roof tiles? Bent, no manufacturer will have put this on the roof tile or the brick because of simply CE marking regulations. It would have to come under. So if somebody's put that on there, it's afterwards either the building owner or the contractor, but it will not be part of the construction.
But that's very often the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the maintenance is.
Yeah, but it's not part of the product. So somebody else has added that afterwards. Yeah. Thank you.
So but you said that if you have the bitumen roof, that the water falling on that, the rain falling on that, could be polluted.
Yeah, it's part of chemistry. It's petroleum based, so you will have. So if you have a zinc roof, you have other things. If you have a plastic roof, so everything. That's why I asked the initial question about how early were the product manufacturers involved in these concepts, because all these concepts, whether it's green homes or all the other concepts of homes and buildings, it's everybody, and it's proven here in maintenance, everybody needs to be involved in the design and implementation, because that is the best way forward for the long-term service of the building. We have products that people don't want to try out because they're new and the contractors don't know them, so they're scared, because if they'd rather use the products that they know than try something new. So for us, it's difficult to put new products on the market and convince the contractors to put them forward to the clients. So anyway, but now with digital, we hope that everybody's going to know everything about all products available, and maybe one that's available in Spain is not available in Scandinavia, but that's part of the things. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you for this really interactive discussion. Our webinar is also a good opportunity to network, and we can't cover everything within the webinar time. We are a bit over time, so I would like to go on by announcing our recent publications, but don't feel break out, so the discussion can go on, and we also have that meeting chat which can be used for that. And yeah, thank you for the interaction. Okay, going on with our recent publications. So the EFB was released this year to new reports you also can find on our website. So the most recent one, which was released in April, so last week, is the Implementing Green Roofs and Walls Lessons from European Experiences. It's a EU publication which was created in collaboration within the project BioAgora, and you can find it on our website and also on the website of the EU and all other partners who were involved on the report. And then the second publication, which I would like to mention today, is Making European Cities Healthier, More Resilient and Beautiful, which is a policy guidance from region and EFB, and it outlines the concrete steps what associations, cities and member states need to do regarding new EU legislations in transforming cities to a more greener environment. When you're scanning the QR code, then you automatically go on the EFB website and you can find all our publications and articles there. Then I would like to inform you about our upcoming events. We have the Polish Green Roof Association who invite to their international conferences. It's already in May. Tatiana, do you want to say something to that?
And just events of EFB members which EFB is supporting. This conference is international. It will be also in English, and it's also happening both offline and online. So you can participate it from your home, not necessarily to travel. And EFB also will be speakers there. So, the program should be interesting. So you are welcome to check it. And the next event is event from German Association of Building Greening, the World Congress of Building Greening 2026, happening in Berlin, only offline this year in June. And all EFB members will be there, so you're welcome if you want to meet us in person. It's a big event, 3 days conference with excursions, trade exhibitions. So it's a huge, impressive meeting of all the sector of building greening, only offline. You're welcome to register. I think the normal ticket ends somewhere soon, so hurry up if you want to have it not very expensive. And the next one, it's again the reminder about our market survey. Please give us 15 minutes of your time to fill in the survey for construction sector. There is also a link in the chat with more languages. I think here there is a German, English, French, Italian, Czech and Portuguese, but I could miss some. But if you use another link for the general surveys, there are even more languages to select from. And we kindly ask you to share your experience, especially from finance sector and maintenance and production. We really need your opinion. Thank you very much. And the next slide also is also one of the partners connecting Nature Enterprise platform. If you consider as a nature-based enterprise, if your activities are related to nature, connected to nature, so this platform is an opportunity to get connected to the sector and other sectors of nature-based enterprise. And we also organize our events through this platform. The link, if you want to become a member and join, it's free and open, and maybe you find it useful for your business. That's all from
Thank you.
Thank you, Katharina, for your moderation, and speakers for amazing presentation, and participants for active discussion. It was very interesting. Thanks a lot.
And if you like our webinars, then it's definitely worth it to go and follow us on our YouTube page. We always upload all webinars, so you can rewatch them and also forward them to colleagues and friends. So this webinar will be also uploaded in a couple of weeks, and we will send you out information when it's uploaded. And then we would like to thank you all for joining our webinar, even though it's still Easter break for most of you. So we are quite happy by having so many active participants. Also, thank you for the interactive discussion. And our webinars are always for free. So yeah, we want to have the access to everyone to join. But if you like the webinars and if you want to support us, then you can scan the QR code and you can transfer a donation if you want, but it's not required because it's a free webinar and also free for donations. And then I would just say thank you from our part as EFB.